prosecute the case for the steelworkers, and Judge Turturice ruled in my favor and found that Robert's Rules of Order applied. But probably my most significant case, I represented a fellow from Charleroi who was drunk one evening, 3 o'clock in the morning, was walking through town, came upon a police car that was running while the officer was inside a donut shop having donuts. And he stole the police car, took a joyride, and it made Paul Harvey's Rest of the Story. And I got a national shout out for that. So I guess that's my most significant case.
I agree with Blaine. Looking back over my career, I've had so many interesting cases. It's hard to pick out one. Mr. Lucas is right. Mike's right. They are all significant to the litigants, but one that really sticks out in my head, and it's a relatively recent case, probably about a year and a half ago. There were numerous jail guards from SCI Pittsburgh that were charged with allegedly abusing inmates, and I was retained by one, a local man here from Washington County, and went up to city court in Pittsburgh. And if anybody's ever been to city court, it looks pretty much just like this in the courtroom. But everybody there is there because they're charged with a criminal offense. And it was serious. You know, this man had been removed from his position with the correctional facility. He was distraught. And like all clients, maintained his innocence. And I believed him. I believe all my clients, I believed him. We went into the preliminary hearing, and you have the ADA from Pittsburgh, John Pittman, who actually used to work in Washington County. Are you going to waive the case to court? Nope. What do you mean? It's time to have a hearing. They paraded out their inmates. One gentleman testified, I saw it all happen. He did it to this gentleman, he did it. Well, that gentleman didn't hear his story and came out and said, I don't know what you're talking about. This man never touched me. He never did anything to me. I don't know why he's even charged. Quick motion to dismiss the charges, granted, and my client left with tears in his eyes because he was vindicated and had the opportunity to go back to the job that he loved.
Right.
Aside from my faith, I think the greatest thing that keeps me grounded in my job as a lawyer is how my children see me in the job that I do each and every day. I want them to be proud of their daddy. And I remember probably the greatest thing that I think I've done in my career is as a child advocate working in the child sex abuse unit in the DA's office in the child abuse unit. And there was a case, it was Judge Gladden's very last jury trial in Washington County. And I can remember preparing for the case. It was a beautiful black girl. She had the most beautiful blue eyes. She was about 7 years old. And she had been beaten by her mother's boyfriend from the back of her shoulders down to the back of her calves. And I remember seeing the black and blue photos. It was just horrendous. All because she ate his stash of chocolate chip cookies. And I remember preparing for that case. And I remember having that little girl in Judge Gladden's courtroom days before the trial. And I remember she was very uneasy. But by the time we were done preparing, I sat on the podium. She came off the witness stand and she climbed into my lap and just hugged me. And I remember telling my daughter that story. And from the time that she was probably 3 up until 7 or 8 years old, when anyone would ask her what her daddy did for a living, she would always retell that story.
All right, we're ready for closing statements from the candidates, and we'll begin with Mike.
I would thank the league and the bar for sponsoring this forum, and thank all of you for coming out tonight. In May of 2010, shortly before his untimely death, I had the privilege of hearing the Honorable Mark Mascara speak at the Italian American Society of Washington County. That night, he spoke about his efforts to improve the child welfare system in Washington County. His recipe was simple and clear. As a judge, you raise your hand and you ask for more work. Today in Washington County, we need judges like that. We need judges that people can trust will do what is fair, what is just, and what is right for all. We need judges who have significant trial court experience so that they'll be effective on day one when they take that oath. And we need judges who are ready to raise their hand and say, give me more work. I'm willing to do that. I'm willing to do that in a manner that will be humble and even-tempered. I will never forget that a judge simply isn't called honorable. They have a duty to always be honorable. Thank you for your time, your consideration. If you deem me worthy on May 21st, I ask for your vote.
Blaine?
Again, I'd like to thank the League of Women Voters and our Bar Association for putting this event on. We're in the midst of a court crisis unlike any in my 32 years of practice. With only 4 of our allotted 6 judges, lawyers and clients seem to be more frustrated than I've ever seen them. Despite what you may hear later this evening, our 4 sitting judges are admirably handling the workload, but we're short 2 judges. In my capacity as 2013 Bar Association President, I have written Governor Corbett and requested that at least one of our vacancies be filled. We're still waiting for a reply. I will now speak briefly to the lawyers in this room. I've been in the trenches for 32 years. I've actually practiced law here in this county. I know what it means to employ people, to meet payroll and expenses, to see clients late at night and still be prepared and show up for trial the next morning. Humbly, I believe my reputation in the legal community is a good one. I love and respect the law. I love our profession. That's why I'm running for judge. I pledge to the lawyers that I will be respectful of all lawyers and their time. I will start motions court on time. I will not litigate custody cases in motions court. I will not rubber stamp PFAs. I will listen and be decisive. The number one factor in this race is experience. A common pleas court judge is called upon to do many things over a career, beginning with family-related issues. You've heard my qualifications. Now look at me. There's no question that literally and figuratively, I am the most well-rounded candidate in the room. I ask for one of your 2 votes. Thank you.
Pete?
That's hard to follow. I would also like to thank the League of Women Voters as well as the Bar Association and everybody in attendance for tonight for taking the time to listen to us. I said in my opening remarks that I believe I'm the best candidate. I wanted the opportunity to convince you of that. Blaine brought up a very good point, experience. Look at the numbers, it's very easy. Go to the Pathonetary's office or the Clerk of Courts. In the last 10 years that I've been in practice, I've done more than any candidate up here. I am in the courtroom on a daily basis. I average over 100 cases per year. That's criminal defense, family law, support, custody, divorce, PFA, unemployment compensation. I have a list. Juvenile dependency, delinquency, adoptions, construction litigation, general civil matters, personal injury. I am in the trenches every day. Today's a perfect example. 2 preliminary hearings before 10:30, a custody conference at 10:30, a custody trial at 1 o'clock, and got ready to come here to speak with all of you. I'm doing it right now. I'm at the peak performance of my career. I'm not looking at the opportunity of being a judge as a way to drift off into retirement, to use as an opportunity to wind down my career. I'm ready to come in and do the work. You want somebody to raise their hand and say, give me the work? I'm here. I'm doing it already. I'll make that transition from attorney to judge. The election's on May 21st. If you like what you've heard tonight from me, I would appreciate your support and appreciate your vote. Thank you.
Blaine?
Terry, 2 years ago, nearly 20,000 people in Washington County thought I should be the next judge of Washington County. I was extremely humbled by that process. I traipsed to all ends of this county meeting people and heard a very specific theme. They want someone who has been there, who's been in the trenches, and has practiced, and who is a hard worker. I lost 60 pounds, so I think I'm a hard worker too. In any case, I think a qualified judge has to understand the many facets of the law, and it all comes down to broad experience.